Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before I get into my panel, the French garden, I just wanted to revisit this panel. Now a few of you've got very good memories. I did a little video, let me come up a little bit. I did a little video a while ago just showing you some pieces that I'd created. And this one is all about memories. It's a memory panel. And these main pieces that I focused on, these cross-stitch elements, were little cross-stitches I did on a baby blanket. I never finished the baby blanket, and I think I did about 5 of them, or maybe 6, and I never got back to it, and I never had the baby. So it's been sitting in my cupboard for so long, and then when I discovered the world of slow stitch, I thought, well, what a fantastic way of bringing them out of the cupboard, putting them into a piece. And at that stage, I had started collecting and had inherited a lot of treasures from my grandmother, my mum, just general pieces from within the family. So this became, I guess, pretty much what we're going to be doing in the coming months with the volume 4 of the Roxy Creations Journal of Stitchery. So I thought I'll bring it out, and if there's anyone who's struggling with, I guess, trying to get a picture in their mind of where it might head, this might give you an idea. And there's a couple little points that I'd probably mention that might also help you sort of get your head around, I guess, what am I trying to say? You've created the mood board, so you know your colours and you know some of the treasures. But how do you piece your panel together so that it all works? And a similar technique was applied to my Down the Garden Path. If I can give you any hints, you pick 2 or 3, it could even be up to 6 hero pieces. They're the pieces the whole thing is built around. Now I would go with some things personally that are quite large. For example, the cross-stitch little pieces. And I had a couple doilies that Grandma did. They were the hero pieces. And as you can see looking at it, 1 and 2, 3, 4. And as you come down, there was a huge doily here, 5, 6. And that was pretty much it. Then I just had random elements that I just slowly pieced in together. So the doilies and Peter Rabbits were my hero pieces. So if you've already got some big pieces that you know are going to be part of your overall finished product, you might just want to roughly lay them into position, and then when the prompt comes that connects them to the piece, you can definitely then, stitch them in. But it'll just give you a bit of a foundation, I guess, to starting. And being that this is a treasure hunt, things that are coming up in these mood boards are exactly what we're looking at here. Random bits of trim, random bits of fabric. And then within the fabric, you do some stitching. For example, there's all boro stitching or camphor stitching here. There is embellishing on a bird here. There's lace that came from a wedding dress. Little elements that I've just collected and loved having, and they all mesh together into a bit of a colour story here. This bit here reminds me of those snippet rolls we were doing with Anne Brooks. Just keep layering in little bits and pieces to build up a bigger piece. Another little bit of lace, lace and ribbon. So then in amongst it, I put random blank spots. Now, if you go ahead and do your background, leave some blank spots. So you might have a heap of your favorite fabrics, but leave some little squares so that you can come back and stitch into them, like that one there. It's a little trim of pom-poms. There's another one down here. So there might be a prompt that you don't particularly have an item that is that prompt, but you might be able to stitch it. So if you've got some little blank patches throughout your piece, it'll give you a chance to do what you want on the piece. Does that make sense? So, yeah, so there's a piece of crocheting that I was hanging on to. Some tatting. Just random little bits of lace from my previous projects that just remind me of things. I've got tatting along the bottom edge of the piece so that it gives it a little edge. And then I overlaid fabrics on the side to finish it off. Now, I haven't covered the back. I don't tend to do that because I often pick them up again and I can add another little treasure here if I'm so inclined. So I just thought I'd show you this. So if you're struggling with where we might be heading and your table looks like this as you've put your mood board together, you're pretty much on the right track. Your mood boards are literally what you're going to be stitching. It's just random gatherings of treasures stitched together, and the girls will provide us little prompts that may send you off on treasure hunts to go looking for something you hadn't even thought of, which is the fun of the challenge. Anyway, I thought I'll just show you that. I was quite surprised at how much of a memory you lot had out there, because this was in a video probably 12 months ago where I was going through some work that I had created. So yeah, I was like, even myself was like, yeah, that's right, I remember that. Now, another one that I wanted to show you is this rabbit. Now, this is another idea. Now, if you recall, I showed you the owl, the pre-printed owl on the video where I was brainstorming. This is what I sort of was thinking about, that owl. This was a pre-printed rabbit onto a little piece of calico. You can see it just in behind. So what I did was I painted the bunny with thread. Well, it's a hare for a start. Let's get the right animal. It's a hare. I painted him with thread and French knots, and then layered in around him, as if he's sort of peeking through some foliage, treasures of lace. Now, a lot of this lace is from my grandmother and her mother, and it was very close to the time that Grandma went into a nursing home and we were cleaning out her sewing room. And she was like, have you found this? Have you found that? And yes, we found all sorts of treasures, little pieces of crocheting. So this is another way you could go as well. You may have a panel that is pre-printed, or an image, or draw a big image, and that's your focal point for your treasure hunt that wraps around it. Just another suggestion. This little guy, after being thread painted and beaded, you can see my style here because I've just finished that flower in a similar manner. Don't be afraid to have a go at animals. They're fantastic for thread painting. We've all been dancing around flowers, but animals are really good. You can really start looking in, and they're pre-drawn for you, so all hard work's done. All you've got to do is colour it in. And if you work on little areas and have a good think about, like, for example, the eye, you can radiate your stitches out, do some French knots, thread paint some different colours through to get shading. Like, you can really do a lot with a pre-printed panel. And then pop all your treasures around it, all your little bits and pieces. Now, some of the underlaying treasures here are from older, the underlaying pieces are from things from the 70s, the 80s, are sort of a little bit more myself and treasures that I've found. But then laying over the top, for example, this doily in here, you can see a white doily sitting there. That's a piece that my grandmother made. So, and these are more commercially made pieces. So there's little bits and pieces within the piece. This lace that is around the rabbit or the hare is very old. I've got cats doing zoomies down the hallway. How rude. I think these little flowers, I remember Rachel made them on a project where she cut out like a peanut shape of fabric, 2 pieces, squinched them together and stitched them on. So it was about that time that I was watching Rachel do that I was doing this piece, and that's when I started to think, okay, let's get some more 3D elements to the piece. Now, my husband grew up in Adelaide for a little bit of his life, and he had a rabbit, and his rabbit was called Timothy. So that's how the word Timothy came to be up on the top corner. So anyway, just a couple examples of what potentially you could do with your piece. Think about some focal pieces, and I think that'll help you anchor your project. And this is a similar sort of thing. I was sort of probably a little bit more relaxed into the project, and I was letting Rachel and Sarah give me those focal pieces, and those prompts I made really big. So that's that making something quite large on your piece, those focal pieces. And the odd prompt I didn't, like for example, the pumpkin or the vegetable patch. It was more of an anchor for this corner here, and then the rose was worked into it. So yeah, I think if you're struggling with where the project might head, because this one is pretty loose, you're going to be given a treasure, so to speak, to find and add, but you're going to have some form of base to work with, I think. So once you get your fabrics organized and you can start laying those down through the whole 6 months, you're going to need a few focal pieces. Having said that, there's nothing stopping you that everything you add to your panel is about this big. So you don't have to have big pieces as well. It's just something for you to consider, especially if you're looking at your mood board now, and you might have 2 or 3 elements on there that you want to work into it that are the size of a dinner plate. Well, they're your focal pieces, and then away you go from there. But you might look at your mood board and everything is, the size of a coaster that you'd put a drink on, and then you can go up and down from there. Anyway, something to think about. All right, enough of that. I've been gabbling on there. It's hard to, I guess, put into words where possibly it could go when we don't know where it could go. Isn't that just really fun? I just think that's so liberating, not having a plan and someone is in control of the plan. Usually we all sit there and we plan our pieces out and then away we go. It's a case of just rolling it out. But this is, really, that's why I just love these challenges the girls are putting out to us, because we don't know where our piece is going to go. Really, really good. Now, let's get back to this. What I've done since I saw you last is I have running stitched the entire piece. So you can see all those rows of running stitch through here. I started at the top and just worked my way, and wherever I hit a house, for example, I would put a few little lines over the house, but then that's it. And we assumed that they've then tucked in behind and carried in on their way, but we haven't. I've just picked up over here and carried on. So it's made it look like the running stitch and the house, they're all one, and you can't quite work out which came first, the running stitch or the house, or then back to the running stitch over the top of the house. So I did that in a few places, not everywhere. Like the flowers up here, I didn't run over them. Let's call it running over your piece. Down through here, I did. I brought the running stitch through all of the area where this garden path was. The running stitch came into the shed, but I didn't do the whole background. I left some space. I just didn't want this running stitch concept to overpower the piece that I had done previously. So like the running stitch would have overpowered my little bees, I felt. So I just stopped back here, but then picked it up here and went on. So just to create a bit of interest and a bit of a background. You can see it really well with the pot. You can see I didn't go all the way past the pot here. That stopped there. What else did I do? I did a little bit onto these flowers in the leaves, just a bit, all around the beehive. all around the scarecrow. I just glanced to the side of me and Pepper is at the door, at the window, watching the TV and my hand moving around. How adorable. She's sitting there watching the TV and she's twigged that that's my hand up there. Yeah, she's... Anyway, now, what was I going to say? Here's the arch. I didn't do any through the centre, but I snuck in past the flowers on either side. So it's sort of got a little bit of stitching there, but not all the way through. I sort of felt like I had to be a bit careful that the back running stitch didn't overpower the piece. Does that make sense? Okay, now we have this gap left. Gee, we don't have much. So 2 prompts to go, and the birdhouses will fit perfectly. So I grabbed my little book because I believe there's some birdhouses. There's some on the front, and I believe there's some in here on a page. Yep, there they are. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to put those into here. They sort of work well with the bird fountain or the fountain in front. So that's the plan. Now I guess I just have to work out how I blend them together. And the other thing is, the next prompt. I guess I'm not going to think about the next prompt because I don't know what it is, so I can't control that. I'm just going to focus on the bird houses and where they would best work into the piece. I sort of feel like if they popped up behind the bird fountain, they would look pretty cool, but I could also have them coming up over the side here. I like that fence too. I wonder if I could see. We've got things with tops on them here, the fountain and the chair. So I feel like we need to finish this story, and I'm wondering if this little picket fence would actually work. Or do I need it? Do I just bring... So that's where the foliage... I don't know. So if I bring them straight up here, it sort of feels a little bit too childlike. You know, you've got your 2 thingies and... So it makes me feel like I need to do some form of background garden here, and they come up through here. And does that background garden continue along behind the chair so I get a real little poking it through the window? I've got this huge bird sitting here, and the tree, so it sort of terminated here because I didn't know if I could bring it this way or what. I was looking at Rachel's piece, and I don't know if you guys noticed or not. Where's a piece of paper here? Here we go. This is a piece of paper out of my bin. I noticed in her piece, now I might be surmising here, her panel's coming down like so, and the last prompts sort of came through those garden beds of hers, and then she started putting some little birds, and she had her fountain, and then the little bird houses came in, but there's this space down the bottom. And for the life of me, I cannot think what this prompt's going to be, this last one, but I feel like it's something down the bottom of the garden path. I don't know if you guys noticed that at all, and I might be way off on my thinking, but I said to my husband, what's down at the bottom of the garden? And he was listing all these things, and we've walked past them. Garden shed, a pond, we've travelled past them, so it's really got me stumped. It'll be interesting to see what the final thing is, because we've got to the bottom of her panel, so it's, I believe, something that could really fill the bottom of her piece, which puts me in a quandary because I'm halfway up the hill again, heading back up to my house. I wonder if I should put a layer of flowers through then. I'm just looking around my room to see if there's any floral fabric laying around that I could work into it. I'd love to get some French General into this. Let me grab my red book pack. I don't really want to go to that little piece of fabric there and have those same flowers, but oh, hello. I haven't got that on here, have I? No. Okay. I love that too. Cherry blossoms. But such a big piece. I have been hoarding it, guys. I'd have to cut it. Put it away, girl. Put it away. But this, maybe this, I went looking for French General, but let me grab the pack of fabric. Let's see what's in here. See these here? Oh. Gosh, I can feel a tangent coming. I just had an idea. They're such pretty fabrics. Okay. What if we worked this in, coming out from the tree? Would that fit? And do we come from behind the chair? And then how do we blend it with that? Oh, we got something now. I'm going to fussy cut this out, just a rough cut. We can always trim it back when we know that that butterfly's got my attention too. And look, there's a bug. There's another butterfly. Let's go round that butterfly and see if we can work this piece in. When I sat down to do this, I thought, oh, I'll just stitch those little birdhouses. That's not very exciting. And I didn't think I'd be heading down this path, but that's typical, isn't it? You'd know that by now. The girl can go in all directions. Yeah. How are we going to make this work? Do I forget about that branch? Which I think I will. Just don't know if this piece, so we get rid of the butterfly and it comes in. See, I'm running out of room. Oh goodness me, I don't think I can have all of it, or can I? Gone quiet, I'm thinking. I just don't think I can. Well, I probably could, but what's bugging me is having space for the last prompt. I could go to town here and fill that area and weave my birds in amongst it and then regret that I had put those extra pieces in. So I think I need to maybe come back a bit with my design element. I'm just wondering if I can break this piece down and weave it in amongst this, is where I'm thinking. So if that went through there, potentially up into there, trim that back a little bit. So it's a smaller little piece. I could probably just re-sketch this, but what's the fun when you've got a gorgeous little element from an old unfinished doily. Oh, I'm getting thin with this. It's getting smaller and smaller. Hope I won't regret this decision. Don't think so. I guess I want it to blend really well with the background. So I need to fussy cut that. And then it'll give me more background to actually insert other pieces into. Let's get a bit of shape happening here. This piece has been rolling around since the very first Roxy Creations Volume 1, I believe. The opposite side of this, or a portion of it, I used on a piece with one of the prompts. I can't remember what the prompt was now. Gosh, that was 1.5 years ago. Can you believe we've been doing this 1.5 years? Incredible. I hope we've all grown as stitchers, embroiderers, fancy workers. I'll leave it at that for now, but it's quite likely that I will nibble that down a little bit more. I feel like it could come in behind that couch, but I think I could probably do I come more over here? comes in behind there. I feel like I need to anchor this bottom. Like that. Looks like it's coming up from behind somewhere. So it sort of looks like a vine there. It fits well to there. Oh my goodness, I'm running out of space. But I do like it there. I wonder if this then could be woven in. So it looks like it's all connected. Don't know, I don't think it can. It'd be so easy just to fill that space, and I've got to pull back a bit. Just looking, do I cut that when something's not quite working shape-wise? So if I brought it back over here and we tucked it in behind this flower, so it looks like it's part of this growth, and then this come off and come, yep, that's it. Okay, we're chopping that again. Gosh, there's going to be nothing left of this piece. That's going to come in there. And this is going to come from up here, I think. So it looks like it's hanging over, like we're in a garden. That's it. All right, let's pin it. Let's pin it. I'm going to take it right up. I'm going to connect it into the top there. It's just another weird plant in my garden, this thing. Okay, now the birdhouse. So I sort of feel like I need some foliage or some I keep coming back to that. I'm going to cut into this, I think. And then I'm going to try and marry it all together so it feels like it's all part of it. Let's just do it. Let's just chop. I'll take it easy and just chop a little bit at a time until I can sort of see the placement of the flowers. Butterfly, you've got to go. You're no longer in the right position. But we'll hang on to you. You might find a new home. Let's get rid of our excess fabric. Whether that blue flower stays, I suspect he will need to go as well because the piece is still quite large. And I don't have a lot of space. Whether those two little flowers stay, they might be in the way, but I'll try and leave them there because I do like that detail. Let's take that out for a moment. And bring it up into here. That's better. So I can make that join. I think, make that feel like it's part of that. don't know. I think I can. I can definitely make those flowers feel like they're part of. And I can put some more foliage in around this to blend it. So that'd be the challenge, to make that and that merge together. That'll be a bit of fun. Now maybe, hang on to little butterfly. You might find a home yet, or not. Who knows? We'll just pin you there for now. Okay. Maybe that will work there. Actually, let's pin that there. Goodness knows what the last prompt is, and will it fit here? Oh my goodness. I have my doubts. Let's just have a look at this piece here again. I'm just wondering. I don't know. I think the last thing I need is more flowers, but we're just going to cut them out, because if I want to make those two elements look like they're meant to be together, I think I need more of this guy. And maybe this little bit here might be of use. So I can lift the white guy here and really tuck that into there. Yeah, I like that. I wonder if that, well, he gets a bit lost, doesn't he? I don't mind that gap there. It sort of breaks the eye up as we transition through this tree into this other growth. So I wonder, what else is here on this little morsel? So I don't mind this little guy here, whether he's facing the right way to be used. See, these little bits will soften the whole picture. It'll help me, I guess, convince you all that the two are meant to be together, that they're blending. Nothing on there. Yeah, that will blend that together. Okay. I don't know where I'm going to put a birdhouse in this, but I like that. Okay, so looks like that's where my birdhouse is going, and there's this whole floral thing happening around it. Okay, let's get a birdhouse in. I need a little ruler. Where's my little guy gone? Don't have a little ruler, so I'm going to have to use my pencil. So I just want to get, I just feel like the birdhouse is going to look like an extension of the pond. I'm just not convinced that that's the spot. I'm going to put it up here. I do not know where I'm going to get the next piece in. Please tell me that was a heat soluble pen. Yes, it was. Let's put, I'm using those there as my inspiration, so I'm putting a little piece of timber underneath so that the piece feels solid. Probably the pencil is the good width for the post. I think it'll come up about that high. That butterfly is actually looking pretty good there, isn't it? House itself. I'm going to make it quite chunky. I could probably bring that a little bit further out. When I stitch it, I can muck around with it, but it's all about the position at the moment. Let's get our roof. We might put a bit of a fascia on the roof. Just adds a little bit of interest. Then we can come up, we'll head for that peak there. Okay, what are we going to do? We might as well put a heart. It's a bit of a nod to the original sketch. Little birdhouse has a heart on it. How cliche. And we need a doorway. Is this a fairy house or a birdhouse? Do birds have doorways? Yes, they do. We might make a doorway up here for the actual bird to go in. And that's just a painted on door. What is going on outside? I can hear something clanging. Bandit has been taking his dinner bowl. If I don't get to it quick enough after he's had his breakfast, and taking it down the paddock and burying it in the garden. I don't know what that's all about. He's just all about burying things at the moment, and he's digging little holes everywhere. He's being very disruptive. Okay, I like that. That works. I feel like I've got a bit of space here too, so this little, what do you call it? Bird bath fountain has a bit of room. So now I can potentially just tilt that out a little bit so it doesn't feel like it's sort of feels like it's part of the tree a little more. And I think this butterfly has to stay. Oh gosh, I don't know if I will get the next prompt in. I really feel like I've gone too far. Well, we'll find out. That's what's going there, the little butterfly. And he's got plenty of space to be in his space. Okay. All right. So I'm happy with that. I I will just nibble this out a little bit just to soften its well, this will keep me busy for a few days. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I think that'll fit in there nicely. And by the time I embroider these flowers, where that's cut, I've got a bit of a straight edge there. I'll be able to embroider it enough to make it feel like it's meant to be. I think I'll nibble out a little bit more there, just a little bit, just to soften that a little bit. I might even do it some more, but it's pretty good. Yeah, that's better. And then I might just sweep ow. Let's just take that corner off. Yeah, that's better. Okay, happy with that. Yeah. Yep. That's quite interesting through that zone. It's like a continuation of all of this over here. Like the tree is potentially still there, but then we've got this garden thing happening, which will connect up to here. Got the tiniest of spots left over here, but oh boy, goodness me. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to work around these little pieces. And because they are, especially the French general fabric, they are prone to fraying. I'm going to use a little bit of this glue on the very edges just to catch those tiny little fibers to not only seal them up a little bit, but then it will also catch it to the fabric, the background. So it will be quite easy to stitch down with just a few little bits of that there. You could use the quilters glue sticks. If I got one, I could show you these guys. I find that they tend to drag on the fabric a little bit too much for my liking. I was using them regularly, but I find that they drag the fibers and create a rough edge or as well. So I sort of have gone off of them a little bit. They've certainly got their places, especially in English paper piecing. But for this type of work, I just find that this art glitter glue or even PVA glue in a very fine little nib coming out of the bottle is just enough to ensure that it doesn't go anywhere and you're not destroying the cut of your fabric any more than you have. I don't do it all the time, but if I've got a fabric like a very soft quilt fabric, like this French general, I would do it. Sometimes you can just stitch straight in and it'll all hold. But This is really soft, this fabric. There's a little butterfly. He's now got his little space. So what do you think the last prompt is? Down the garden path, and we're now at the end of the garden path. So I don't know. What do you reckon? Blowed if I can think what it is. They've got me stumped. Okay. Just working my way around. How are we going for time? All right, got time. So what I'll do is I will get this all over stitched down. That then gets everything anchored, and then I'll come back and we'll pick something else to do towards finishing this particular prompt. Not sure what it'll be, whether we paint the flowers or the work on the shower of rain just started. Work on the little birdhouse. Oh gosh, can't get a line of straight glue if I tried. Okay, let's just continue. Get this as well. This doesn't fray as easily because there's some form of starch in this fabric, which gives it that body you'd need to do your fancy work on it. If you were doing a doily, they tend to be a little bit stiff, so there's something in it. I'll leave that piece of fabric there. I was just thinking maybe I should have cut that off, but I will leave it because it sort of blends. By the time we finish embroidering it, won't be as noticeable that you've pieced it together. Oh, that's quite heavy shower of rain. Okay. It has been so humid the last few days, so we're supposed to be in the middle of winter. Well, not the middle of June's the start of winter for us. So we're supposed to be wintering, and all this humidity come over the state. So then the rain started. On the weekend, it just started getting really warm, and we're all walking around in shorts and t-shirts again. It's very confusing. I need to get that pin out of there before it gets glued in. Goodness me. That's better. Just a little bit, just to tack it down and stop that little fray. I can already see where it's starting to disintegrate on those edges. This will really hold it. That's a bit of a rough cut. Not that this edge really needs it, but anyway. See little elements from that French General fabric, like that little guy, just helps sort of connect it all, if that makes sense. Tiniest little leaf can often sell the story that they're all meant to be. I need to probably have another little look at that piece of fabric, and maybe there's some more little bits of leaf that could come. Where'd that piece get to? Yeah, like that little bit there. That one definitely, but it's very big. I don't know if I'd fit it. But this little guy, he's got potential. How are we going for time? It's all good. This little fellow, he might be able to join the party. It's only a tiny little piece, but it might be something that could, you know, sit. Sort of felt like he could go there. Is that glued down? It has, hasn't it? Oh. Just going to work that guy into there, I think. Oh no, don't need it to be underneath. I need it to be on top. Yeah, I like that. It's going to drift up to the birdhouse, like it's part of that vine. So you can see the colours I'd need to stitch this piece here will have to blend in with these pieces, which will be fine. That'll be easy. Okay, I think I've got it pretty secure in all the right spots. Perfect. What I might do is, as we get towards the end of it, the little pink birds that are down here, we might pop a few up here somehow. Just to, you know, make it look like they're part of the whole story. So I might even draw him in there, otherwise I'm going to end up forgetting. So he was, how'd we do him? He was a circular little fellow, circular body. With his little tail feathers. Well, that looks like a black blob, but anyway. We could even stand another one up here on the roof. He's just perched up there, announcing that this is a lovely place to live. We're all going to move into this little birdhouse that the kind lady has put in her garden. All right, that's enough mucking around. I don't think there's anything else on there that I want to... See, there's another one there. But is it the right side? It would have to hang down. Could come from behind the birdhouse. Oh, here we go again. If I can get the last prompt onto this panel somewhere, I'm going to be very surprised, to be honest. I think I've pushed the boundaries. I bet Rachel and Sarah are sitting there giggling, thinking that girl, she is not going to get it in because it's a, who knows. I like this little fellow to come out from behind the house. Yeah. So it looks like there's a vine going around the little birdhouse. I just might need to do a bit of stitching to make it really look like it's connected. But that's all right, we can do that. Just do that like that. Get that downward sweep. There we go. We have a plan. We have our little birdhouse in position. We have some more French flowers and garden going around the little birdhouse. Finally found a home for that embroidery. That's great. That's really good. So let's just trim up our little piece, pop it back into its, one day I'll get back to the red work journal box. All right, that's it, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I have a plan of attack. It's merged into the garden. Beautiful. Really happy with that. Gosh, don't have much room left. Oh, for goodness sakes. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. It'll all work out, always does. All right, guys, look after yourselves and have a lovely day, and I'll see you tomorrow when we continue working. Bye.